Hi everyone, this is Sean. This is a follow-up video from an earlier video that I made on whether or not you can work a 12-hour shift if you're a private security officer. Can your employer require you to work a 12-hour shift? And also, can your employer require you to be on standby? I will leave a link in the description below. Guys and gals, please press a like button. Please subscribe if you have not yet already. When you press a like button and you comment on the video, like how a lot of you guys have been doing, the Google algorithm and the YouTube algorithm puts these videos all the way on top, and other people in your profession get to watch these videos and they are more easily presented to them. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to expand a little bit on these agreements. So if you belong to an organization and you're telling me, and guys, this is actually for California. I am California based. I live in California, and because I live in California, my knowledge of laws tend to gravitate towards California laws. If you're chiming in from another state, your state may or may not follow California law, but there's always a good chance that it probably will, because all these other states that are out there, they tend to copycat, replicate each other's laws. So anyhow, if you have it's called an Alternative Workweek Agreement, that will allow you to work a 10-hour shift without the employer requiring you to be paid 2 hours overtime, because anything over in California, everything over 8 hours is considered overtime. So if you're regularly scheduled on a 10-hour shift, then you're supposed to be getting 2 hours of overtime, unless you are an exempt employee, or unless you belong to a labor union and there was agreement in advance, or unless there's an Alternative Workweek Agreement. Now, many organizations, they do what's called the Alternative Workweek Agreement. If you have that, then you could work on a regular basis 10-hour shift. Now, also, this video doesn't apply for those of you who are in the hospital. I discussed this in another video that if you work in a hospital environment in California, as long as you're providing patient care, which is pretty much an ambiguous term, then you're able to do the 12-hour shifts without your employer being mandated to pay you overtime for excess of 8 hours. But those of you who are telling me on the comments, or even offline, or actually online, or you're saying, hey, I have an agreement with my employer, or if you're the employer and you're saying, hey, I already have an agreement with my employees that they're going to work 10-hour shifts 4 days a week, that agreement is probably invalidated. That agreement was probably not done properly. I am working on the Security Leadership and Management course. As soon as that's done, I'll leave a link in the description below. On one of the modules, which I just finished a couple of weeks ago, I discuss into great detail how to design an Alternative Workweek Agreement. I have sample templates, and I also have a sample ballot and a sample procedure that you might want to consider, but that information is not available to you once I actually publish those modules, and again, they'll be in the description box below. Then you'll have access to those templates, and you can show those templates to a licensed attorney, see what they think about it, see if it's something that you can use in your workforce. But if you wanted to have an Alternative Workweek Agreement, meaning you want your employees to work 4 days a week, 10-hour shifts, first you have to have a meeting. And that meeting, in that meeting, you have to invite your work unit. So in your organization, you have to identify what the work unit is. Are these dispatchers? Are these security officers? And if they can be identified as a work unit, then you have one step of the process away. Next, you got to form a meeting. Now, you have to give adequate notice to the meeting. And then once you're at the meeting, you have to be able to answer questions from your employees. You also have to keep in mind that you have to send out written literature regarding what the content of the meeting is going to be about, and more information about the proposed Alternative Workweek Agreement. That has to be sent out to employees who can't make it to the meeting. So once you already have this meeting, you do Q&A, questions and answers, and then you discuss what the proposal is. There's some time that elapses after that, and then you're gonna have a secret ballot meeting. And in my module, I actually developed a secret ballot, something that you could possibly use at your work site. Once the votes are in, and the majority votes in favor of the Alternative Workweek Agreement, the next step is to notify the employees about the proposed change and when is the tentative date. In addition, you have to send a letter to the California Department of Industrial Relations. That's equivalent of the California Department of Labor. You have to send over a letter mentioning when the election took place and what was the votes in favor for. And there's some other information that you have to include. If you're in California and you think that your employer actually did a legitimate alternative workweek agreement, I want you to look in the description box below and click on the link that I'll provide to you. It's basically a database of all submitted alternative workweek agreements in California. I challenge you to type in your employer's name and see if anything populates the screen. Also, keep in mind, if your employer is working under a DBA, doing business as, or a fictitious business statement, if they're operating in another name than what you think, type in all those other names, because just because an employer is called ABC 123 Security, that doesn't mean that that's what they will fall under into the database. I mean, they should be called ABC 123 Security if that's the name on file, but they might be actually using a different name. So search all the possible names. Some of these companies, they have parent companies, sister companies. Just type in as much as you can. And this is what I found. So two places of previous employment, they have on file alternative workweek agreements. It's on file, and it's been on file there for many years. So what I want you to do is report back to me. So if you're in California and you're working these four 10-hour shifts, and your employer is not included in this alternative workweek agreement, well, there's a possible legal issue, and I'll discuss what your options are in another video. I don't want to go too much the time in this video. But let's hear in the comment section below, did you check the database, and is your employer in this database? They should or they should not. Well, everybody should be. All employers should be in this database, you guys. Again, I checked with some employers I work with in the past, and they're in the database. They've done things legitimately. Looking for the dialogue. You guys all take care.